let's just talk about this scenario. Putin, Zelensky, Ukraine, the war, Russia. Do you see the parallels between Trump trying to exert power and control, being the boss to try to resolve a situation? Do you see the comparison between him and Don Corleone in The Godfather? That was a power move. He's letting them know, we are in control here. We're the United States and we're in control. Like him, don't like him. That's how I see it. As a former mob guy and somebody that's observing this, I'm seeing these are all power moves on Trump's part to make people know I'm in control here and I want to see something happen. Hey everybody, welcome to another Sit Down with Michael Franzese. Hope everybody is doing well. All is very good, very blessed on this end. As always, my friends, all the praise, honor, glory, and thanksgiving goes to our God for that, for all the blessings. He is entitled and deserves all the thanksgiving for all of that. As you can see, I'm not in my studio. Michael, why do you have sunglasses on? What's going on? Because it's very sunny out here. I'm in Puerto Vallarta. I've been here for a couple of days celebrating both my wife's and my daughter's birthday. Every year I take them away. Their birthdays are 2 days apart and we're always someplace. So today I share a condo with my friend and partner Tony from our Slices Pizza, and we're out here for a couple of days. Tomorrow I leave for Florida. Big wine thing that I'm doing, a lot of other things going up and going to West Palm Beach. But I did want to have this video because a thought came into my mind. And I wish I could turn this around and show you the ocean. I'm looking out at the ocean and it's still sunny. That's why I have the sunglasses on. So no, I don't have a black eye or anything like that. Sunglasses, that's it. But you know, I was really thinking about something. Some of you are going to like this, some of you are not going to like this. But you know, Donald Trump, when I think about this whole thing that happened with Ukraine and Putin and the meeting that he had at the White House with all of the dignitaries, all the leaders from Europe, it kind of reminded me of that scene in The Godfather when Don Corleone, you remember, he called the head of all the families and he had a big sit down with them, this huge conference room, conference table, and he had to sit down and he kind of conducted the meeting. So there was kind of similarities I see, and I'm going to talk about that. Some of you are going to like it, some of you are going to hate it. You know, I don't know, you know, because those of you that don't like Donald Trump, you're probably going to not like the comparisons. They may not all be good. Listen, I'm comparing him to a mob boss. Many of you people have said that. He's not a president, he's a mob boss. I won't ever say he's Hitler because that's horrible. Hitler murdered, 6 million Jews. So I'm never going to say that. That's ridiculous to even make that comparison. But a mob boss, let's go through it. Tell me what you think afterwards. Come on, people, lighten up a little bit. We'll have some fun with this and let's enjoy it. You know, when I think about it, think about that scene. What a great scene. Don Corleone, his son was murdered. If you remember, Sonny Corleone, murdered by a rival family. And so now he convenes. He wants the killing to stop. He wants to bring his son Michael home from Italy because what happened? His son Michael killed those two people. He killed the cop and he killed Solozzo. Remember that? So now Don Corleone has had enough and he wants to bring all the 5 families together and end the conflict. That's what it's all about because they were killing each other. Remember, they went to the mattresses, the whole bit. So now he's in this conference room and he gets up and he leads the discussion. And basically he says, look, I want the bloodshed to stop. It's not going to bring my son back. It's not going to bring your son back. He told, I think it was Talia, he says, it's not going to bring your son back. We got to stop. And then it was wonderful what he said. He said, I'm ready to forgive the people here. But if something should happen to my boy, Michael, he said, if a safe should fall on his head, I'm paraphrasing, or if a bolt of lightning should come out, he said, then I'm not going to forgive and I'm going to blame some people in this room. It was a brilliant scene, and the way Marlon Brando took it, I mean, the way he did that whole, you know, the whole part he played with Don Corleone was absolutely brilliant. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. All right, my friends, I got something very exciting to announce. You know, you can buy our non-alcoholic wine, Franzese wine, non-alcoholic. It's available now in Walmart in, I think, 7 states, several hundred stores. People are loving it. Our process to remove the alcohol is terrific. The taste stays, the alcohol goes. A lot of people are enjoying it. Well, now we're launching nonalcoholicwines.com, where you can get not only our non-alcoholic wine, but others, anybody that comes onto our site. Nonalcoholicwines.com. nonalcoholic.wines.com. And we're going to give you a special code to give you a 10% discount. Say Franzese, the number 10. Franzese, number 10. Put that code in at checkout. You get a 10% discount. So nonalcoholicwines.com. We're launching that very soon. You're going to love all the non-alcoholic wines. Obviously, Franzese wine that we think is the best and the greatest, but you can get any brand that you want. Franzese 10 is the discount code. Again, we always give you offers that you shouldn't refuse. So now let me make a comparison. All right, here's Trump. What does he want to do? He wants to end the war. He wants to end the conflict. He wants people to stop being killed. For those of you that said, Michael, he's doing this for his own purposes, I don't know what he's doing it for. I believe that he wants the killing to stop. He wants innocent people to stop dying. Does he want to take the credit for ending the war? Sure. Why not? Why wouldn't he want to take the credit? Is it part of an ego thing with him? You may say so. The haters may say so. I think he really wants to stop the killing. That's my opinion. Okay, so what does he do? He starts to get the two sides together. But first, he calls the aggressor, the main guy, Putin, and he has him come to Alaska. Is that symbolic? I think so. Remember, Alaska was once part of Russia. Remember that. So he now has him come to Russia. He doesn't have to have him come to Washington or anything else. He has him come to Russia. A little more convenient. Obviously, it's closer, easier trip, but who cares? And the planes that they travel in, they got all the comforts of home and better. But he has him come to Alaska. And then he walks off that plane. If you remember, Trump, the first scene, he walks on the carpet off the plane, and he wanted the cameras on him. It was a scene of power. It was to show power, no doubt in my mind. And then he waits for Putin to come to him. Putin goes to him. He doesn't go to Putin. Putin goes to him. So he sets the stage to show Putin, I'm in control here. I'm in charge here. At least in this meeting, I am. I've convened this meeting. I'm doing it for a reason. I have an ulterior motive. I want to stop the killing. And I'm showing you that right now I'm in command. I believe that's what Don Corleone did. He wanted to let everybody know he was in command. He called for the meeting. He wanted the violence and the bloodshed to stop. Why? In his case, yeah, he wanted his crew not to be murdered, but he was worried about his son, Michael. That was the whole deal there. So there's kind of a parallel there if you understand. Okay, Trump is trying to, save the lives of other people and stop the war so that, yes, he gets the credit for it. Why not? He should be stopping wars. We shouldn't be warring all over this world. Whatever his motive is, if he's going to stop the war and stop the violence, we should appreciate that. Now, I will tell you this, people on the left, they don't want the war to stop. They'd rather people continue to get killed because they don't want Trump to get the credit for stopping the war. Whatever his motive is, does anybody care what his motive is? If you're going to look into his heart and says he don't really care about those people, but he does want to stop them from getting killed because of his own personal ego, who cares? Who really cares? We're not judging his soul for life and death for all of eternity. That's God's deal. We want the violence stopped. In Don Corleone's case, yes, he didn't want his son murdered. And that was it. So there is a parallel there because they both want to stop the violence. Don Corleone, I don't think it was an ego trip for him. He wasn't looking to be the peacemaker there for his ego at all. But if you want to make that argument, okay, I'll give it to you. But my answer to that is, who cares? If the violence is stopping, the war is stopping, and everybody benefits, who cares? Now, what else does Don Corleone have to do? He has to negotiate a deal. Putin's going to want certain conditions to stop the war. Zelensky's going to want certain conditions to stop the war. Zelensky wants to be, sure that Russia's never going to attack them again. Putin, from what I understand, wants to be sure that Ukraine is not going to be part of NATO, because then he says, I have enemies at my border, and I don't want that, and I'm not going to allow it. So that's part of the condition for him stopping the war. And then there's some territory that he wants. He doesn't want to give back Crimea, and he wants to take some other territory. I don't know if Zelensky's going to go for that or not, but that's what it is. But let's get the second part. What does Trump do next? He convenes all of the leaders of the European nations, part of NATO, and he brings them to the White House. Again, he has all of these presidents and leaders of every country come to him at the White House, plus Zelensky. Is it a power move? Of course it is. He's showing them who's in control. And I think Don Corleone, by calling that meeting, by standing up and making it clear, I want to stop this war, but if something should happen to my son, if a lightning bolt should hit him, or something like that happens, I'm going to blame some people in this room, and I'm not going to forgive. And he's letting you know, that's it. Now, Trump has let Putin know that if he doesn't go along with some kind of a deal, ceasefire, end this war, there's going to be consequences, whether it be sanctions or whatever else that he's doing. Another move that Trump did, he moved our nuclear submarines into position fairly close to Russia and China. That was a power move. He's letting them know, you know, we are in control here. We're the United States, and we're in control. Like him, don't like him. That's how I see it. As a former mob guy and somebody that's observing this, I'm seeing these are all power moves on Trump's part to make people know I'm in control here, and I want to see something happen. It's for the benefit of everybody if we make this happen. Now he's got all the European leaders, all the bosses of all the families of all the countries. He's got them in the White House. And I got to tell you this, he's talking about all of this war and how it's going to be resolved and how they're going to participate and help, how they're going to back Zelensky if anything goes wrong. He's got them all. And from what I heard, every one of these leaders, when they came out, they were praising Trump. He did a great job. If he ends this war, even Hillary Clinton said if he ends the war in the right way, he deserves the Nobel Peace Prize because he ended a war and he saved lives. Amazing. It was just a power play. How many people have compared Trump to a mob boss? Well, in this comparison, I think it's pretty valid. I really do. Mob bosses want to show power. They want to show control. Don Corleone did that. And then what was the beautiful thing afterwards? I don't know if you remember. But when Don Corleone was in the car with his consigliere, Robert Duvall, what did he say? He said it wasn't Tattaglia. Tattaglia's a pimp. It was Barzini that was calling the shots all the while. He learned that at that meeting because of Barzini. What Barzini said was a strong indicator, okay, that Barzini was behind all of this. Barzini was behind the killing of Sonny. Barzini was behind, you know, the actual assassination attempt on Don Corleone. He found out everything at that meeting. And I think we can make a comparison to Trump. He found out what Putin really wanted. At least he thinks he did. And he said it afterwards. He was pretty cautious and careful. He said, hey, I don't know if I can trust him all the way. I know what happened, and I hope I can trust him. Because if not, there's going to be consequences. So what happens? Don Corleone figures it all out at that meeting. And I think that's why Trump brought all of these leaders together to see really where their head is at. Really, are they going to be helpful in this? What position are they going to take? Are they going to support the United States in whatever decision the United States makes in trying to bring this together? It was a brilliant move on Trump's part. I'm sorry, like him, dislike him, whatever. It was a brilliant move on his part. And it's sad to me, it's kind of pathetic that people on the left don't come together at this point. You know, sometimes you got to just drop the partisanship. You got to drop it. And you got to say, you know what? For the benefit of the United States, for the benefit of the world, we have to come together on this. So people stop getting killed. We have to have a unified position on this, a unified attack on this to try to save lives and try to spare these people, you know? But it's not happening here, people. Many on the left are not taking that position, and it's sad. And I'm not getting political. I'm just saying the way it is. It's the same, you know, in the mob world. Really. If a boss wants to come together and try to settle an argument, settle a war, well, you know what? People got to go along with him. You can't be fighting him every step of the way. The person that wants to make peace, you got to be helpful here in this regard, whether you like him or not. Because the bottom line is you want to save lives. Let me ask you the question. How many of you, I want to see it in the comments. I want you to try to put your bias aside for a minute. And I want to hear what you have to say with respect to this. Do you think there is a parallel? This is the question. And answer me properly. Come on. I mean, answer me intelligently. Put your bias aside for a minute if you hate Trump. And I know many of you watching me do hate Trump. I get all the comments and I read through many of them. So I know you're going to hate him. But do you see a parallel between the way he handled this whole Putin, Zelensky, Europe leadership? Yeah, let's call it a summit. This summit. and how Don Corleone handled that whole sit-down. We'll call it a sit-down. That's the appropriate language we use on the street, when he brought all the mob bosses together. Do you see a parallel of power here? When you watch that scene from The Godfather, do you see Don Corleone really being in control? Do you see that? I saw it big time. He was in control. And he was the Don of all Dons. He was the Godfather at that point in time. Do you see the parallel with Trump in this situation? Don't get carried away. Let's not talk about the border or anything else that he's doing. Let's just talk about this scenario. Putin, Zelensky, Ukraine, the war, Russia. Do you see the parallels between Trump trying to exert power and control, being the boss to try to resolve a situation? Do you see the comparison between him and Don Corleone in The Godfather? Let me know your comments. I really want to know what you think about this because, again, this is not about likes or dislikes or anything else. It's about parallels. You know, I got to tell you this, people. You know, a lot of you have said this, you know, that Trump is in my pocket or I'm in Trump's pocket and all this kind of stuff. It's not that. There's certain things that he does that I wish he didn't do. You know, for me, the bottom line is what's best for this country. Is he doing what I believe to be best for this country? And I've said this many times, you know. Yeah, if he operates like a mob boss, a good mob boss, if he operated like Frank Costello or maybe even Carlo Gambino without the murders, putting the murder of our own aside, we don't do that. That's beneath the office of the presidency or any other politician. Put that aside. But if he's operating out of a position of control and power for the good of all the people, for the good of his family, like Costello did, like Gambino did, built it up to be the biggest family. Costello, brilliant guy. I'm telling you, he was brilliant. He knew how to handle politics. They called him the prime minister. He knew he had to have powerful connections. So what is Trump doing? He's making his contacts and connections with the European leaders. He's making his connections and his power plays with people from the Middle East. He's doing it. What did he do with Iran? He showed Iran, I'm in control here. The United States is in control because I represent the United States, the biggest, most powerful country in the world. He's exercising that power. We should all appreciate that. So if that comparison is to a mob boss, hey, I like that. You know, you want to call him Carlo Gambino? Okay, minus the killing, because Trump is not murdering his own people when they step out of line. And he shouldn't, because if he did, I would turn on that. Shouldn't be doing that. We don't murder people in a civilized society that we disagree with or that wrong us. We don't do that. We may kill in self-defense. I don't know if I call that murder. It's self-defense, whatever. It's a different standard. But let me ask you this. Do you think Trump operates like a mob boss in a good sense or in a bad sense? What do you think? Are there any other comparisons that you can think of? Now, some people say, well, you know what, Donald Trump, you know, he had mob connections because he was dealing with the union and he had Roy Cohn as his attorney, and Roy Cohn represented, you know, Tony Salerno, Fat Tony Salerno, the boss of the Genovese family. Okay. Did Donald Trump understand the mob life? I think he did to a degree. Was he controlled by the mob? No, he wasn't. Even Sammy Gravano said that. And Sammy said he tried to make entree. I don't know if that's true or not, but Sammy said it. I'll believe it. And Trump refused. I know this. If Trump was dealing with the mob and he was, you know, in bed with the mob, so to speak, I would have heard it. I would have heard it. That kind of word gets out on the street. The same if he was dealing with if the mob was dealing with Leona Helmsley, I would have heard it. She's a huge contractor. The Helmsleys were huge contractors. I was involved with the unions. I would have known if they were in bed with us. Now, did they have to deal with us? Of course, because we control the unions. We control the contractors. You didn't get things done unless you dealt with us. So whether he did it through a liaison or he did it directly, whether he was paying off some union people, he had to do it. That was the way things went in Manhattan. That was the way things went in most all of New York and many, many places all up and down the northeastern seaboard. That's just how it went. But hey, politicians, do you don't think people grease politicians, you know, to get what they want? You don't think politicians, in turn, do favors for people when they want something? Ask Nancy Pelosi. She's the queen of that. And many other politicians on both sides of the aisle. That's the way it goes. Okay? So let me tell you something. If you want to, compare Trump to a mob boss in a situation when we're talking about Ukraine and Putin, I think you have a valid comparison. I just made it between him and Don Corleone. Don Corleone was fictional, but that was a pretty real scenario that we saw. Grabbing all the 5 bosses of all the families in New York, sitting them down, trying to negotiate peace. It happens. It absolutely happens. We have wars all the time. During my lifetime, the Colombo family was involved in 3 wars, and peace deals were negotiated. Carlo Gambino exerted power to negotiate peace. Absolutely, he did. The other people get involved in that to try to, because this war is no good for anybody. In the mob life, in the real world, it's no good for anybody because people die. People die. But that's the history of the world. War is part of the history of the world. Things are resolved in wars, and it's very unfortunate. So I tell you this, if Trump is acting like a mob boss, and you think I made a valid comparison, well, what's wrong with that? What's wrong? Whether he's doing it because he really cares about people, whether he's doing it for his own ego, whether he's doing it for his own legend in this life, what's the difference if he stops the war? Because let me tell you something, if he's doing it for the wrong reasons, he will be judged at some point in time. That's not up to us to decide. We don't know his heart. We don't have a microscope into his heart. We don't know. But the bottom line is, let's solve and end the war. So he's on the road to doing that, just the way a mob boss would do it, just the way Don Corleone ended that war. But remember, what happened later on? What happened later on when Don Corleone passed away and the mantle was passed on to Michael? What did Michael do? In order to get vengeance for his father and his brother. Remember, his father wasn't killed, he survived. But what happened? An attempt was made on his father's life. They wanted to kill Don Corleone. And then they did kill Sonny Corleone. So what did Michael do? He exacted vengeance. And remember, he killed the head of all the 5 family, killed them all. Now, is Trump going to do that? No, he's not going to kill anybody. But what is he going to do? He's going to bring this to the table where peace should be had. And if there's no agreement, he's going to exact consequences. It's going to happen. He said it, and Trump appears to do what he says he's going to do because he wants this to stop. So he's letting everybody know it's in the best interest now of everyone to stop this war. That's what he's doing. So let's see what happens. Is there any other mob boss or movie that you can think of, okay, that can draw a comparison between a mobster and Donald Trump? Good way, bad way, whatever you think. In this, I want to make it clear. I think this is a good thing. The way Trump is conducting himself in all of this, I think it's a good thing. Now, I've heard people on the left, he's embarrassed. They don't know what they're... Half of these people, they have no diplomacy degree. They've never dealt with foreign affairs. They don't know what they're talking about. They're just anti-Trump. That's it. They're just knocking him. And they'd love to compare him to a mob boss. Even if the mob... Listen, if the mob boss cured cancer, and Trump did the same, they wouldn't like that comparison. They'd say, well, he's a mob boss. He shouldn't be curing cancer. People should still die because the cure for cancer came from the wrong place. That's what they would say. I'm laughing about it, people. It's insanity. I'm not trying to, get crazy over this. I'm laughing about it. It's insanity. Okay, so I want to hear your comments. Do you think that Trump is acting like Don Corleone in this situation? Is it a power play? Okay, when Trump had Putin come to him in Alaska, was it a power play? When Trump walked off out of his plane onto that red carpet and stood there and let Putin come to him, was it a power play? You're darn right it was. And remember them when they walked together, Trump is the taller guy. Putin looked small. Trump looked like the commander. He absolutely did. I believe that was staged. It was staged, but it was staged to let everybody know we're in control. We're the United States, and we're in control of this, and we are pushing in every which way to have this war come to an end because we want to save lives. Trump has said it a million times. And then what? All you European leaders, get over to the White House. I'm summoning all of you. We're going to have a summit. We're going to talk about ending this war. That's what he did. We want to end the war. I'm telling you, people, like him, hate him, it was a brilliant move. And now remember, the first meeting he had with Zelensky, it wasn't a good one. Again, he practically chased him out of the White House. He held him, and people got mad at that. But he said to him, you're in no position to make demands. He told him straight out, you're only surviving because the United States has helped you. He made him know back then. Some people didn't like it. Okay, but where is it now? Now Zelensky's back again. And now there is a real shot at ending this war. So I think a lot of these things here were strategic. Moving the nuclear subs closer to Russia and China. Because let me tell you something, people. These nuclear subs, they're the biggest deterrent that we have against any nuclear attack on us. They are so high tech. Nobody else has them. Nobody else has been able to duplicate them. I think they're building a couple more. They are the real deterrent to any nuclear attack. And bringing them closer to Russian waters, Russian shore, I think it was a power move again by Trump. Now, let me end by saying this, because I know there's going to be, without a doubt, there's going to be criticism. Michael, you're in Trump's pocket. No, I'm not. I'm evaluating this situation, and I'm making what I believe to be a valid comparison. The way Don Corleone handled that sit-down with all of the bosses of the five families, and the way Donald Trump is handling the Ukraine conflict. The same motive: stop the war, stop the bleeding. In Don Corleone's case, it was stopping. He wanted to make sure his son didn't get killed. He said it straight out. There'll be consequences. I'm going to blame people in this room. Trump letting Putin know there's going to be consequences if this war doesn't end. I'm doing everything in my power to make this end. And if you don't want to go along, there's going to be consequences. He let Zelensky know the same thing. And what does he do? He brings in the bosses, the leaders of all the European nations in NATO, many of them, come to my place, sit down in my house, and let's go over this thing, because we got to end this war. It's a power play. It's a control play. It's letting them know who's the boss. And remember, every one of those people, every one of the bosses of the five families was subservient to Don Corleone. Because remember, Sollozzo came to him to finance the drug business and to give him the political connections that he needed. If he didn't need Don Corleone, Tattaglia could have done that, or Bazzini could have done that. But they made it known, no, Don Corleone, that's the most powerful family. He's the boss. He's the one in control. We need him. Well, United States, the same thing. End of the day, people, this is the major strength in the world. It's the United States. And Donald Trump is letting people know that. Like him, hate him, you got to support at least that. Not getting to any other political situation. We're talking about foreign affairs, diplomacy, and showing people who's in control. And in this case, Donald Trump was the mob boss in control of this situation. Let's see if he brings it to an end. Let's see. Remember how it came to an end in The Godfather. Michael Corleone taking revenge on everybody for the attempted assassination of his father, really, and the assassination of his brother, Sonny Corleone. That's how it ended. Let's hope it doesn't have to end in an escalated situation. But remember, after that, it was over. Michael was totally in control at that point in time. Let's hope that the same result happens without the murder, without the killing, without having to go that route. Let's hope that Donald Trump is able to bring a peaceful result and end to the war in Ukraine. People, that's it for today. And you know what? I'm leaving for Florida tomorrow. I got this big conference. It's a wine conference, actually, in beautiful West Palm Beach. I love West Palm Beach, a great place there. I used to live in Delray Beach, which is in West Palm. And we got a couple of things going on there. I'll be back in my studio end of the week. Thank you for supporting me, even when I'm on the road. People, I appreciate you more than you ever know, because, again, I realize that the only reason I have this platform and the success of this platform is because of all of you. You got many, many choices, online that you can go to. So I'm going to ask you now. I don't ask you for much, but I'm going to ask you this. Please hit the subscribe button. It helps us. I really mean it. So hit the subscribe if you like it. Hit it. And people today, if you don't like what I said about Trump, come on, just relax. It was kind of fun. It was a perception that I see of him acting like a mob boss in a good way. Hey, if a mob boss can settle a dispute and settle an argument, what's wrong with that? You know, good. Again, his motive, don't worry about that. The fact of the matter, if he's trying to solve the war, let it happen. So, thank you all very much for tuning in again. This is my last night here in Puerto Vallarta, which is a beautiful place. I got to tell you, the Mexican people, they are just wonderful. They're so courteous, so giving, you know, just so pleasant. Every time I've been all over Mexico, and I just love the people here. Of course, I married one, you know that. My wife's Mexican, Mexican-American, but they're wonderful people. The food is terrific, and this place is beautiful, looking out at the ocean. You know, people, I have been extremely, extremely blessed. I hope you like the Carlos Leader sit down that I had with him. I thought it was pretty amazing. You know, fantastic guy to have, you know, really, you know, understood what he did wrong in his life, and now at least comes out and admits it, you know, and I think he's sorry for some of the things that he did, but it was a great interview. We try to bring you good content all the time. That's the deal. You know, we really do. So that's it for today, my friends. How do I always leave you? Same way. It's not going to change. No matter where I am in the world, it's not going to change, even when I'm overlooking this beautiful ocean. So be safe. And that's what Trump's trying to do. Make the world a safer place by stopping the war. Be safe. Be healthy. And yes, I mean this, people. I don't just say it. I want God to bless each and every one of you, your families, your loved ones, your friends, your communities, your neighborhoods, your workplace. I want God to bless each and every one of you, everyone that's on my platform, everywhere, that subscribes and views. I want God to bless every one of you. I really mean that. That makes me feel good. And people, you know what? It is a lot better to give than it is to receive. I have found that out through my life. At 74 years old, I will say that any day of the week. Better to give than to receive. Be safe, be healthy. God bless each and every one of you. And yes, God willing, I'll see you all next time. Please stay tuned. Take care. My friends, before you leave, I got something special for you. You really want to be part of my legacy, part of a community? Then join the Franzese family. You're going to get Q&As with me privately. You're going to get behind-the-scenes stories I've never told before. I can't say everything on YouTube. You're going to get Q&As. You're going to get Zoom calls. You're going to get a bunch of people working together for the benefit of all of us. Be part of the legacy. I'm telling you, this is an offer that you shouldn't refuse. You want more of me? This is the place to go. Be part of the elite. MichaelFranzese.com/family. Join up now.